All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 2, episode 5, which I just found out today, of Design Unfiltered. And we are here with our incredible guest, Bora Shehu. So
Hello.
excited here. So we'll save more details about her later when more people have joined. But I'm Joanne Weaver. Also with me are Erica Fortgang, Jared Treadley. We are your fearless triad.
Fearless.
Yes, very fearless. We slay dragons every day, metaphorically. So yeah, we've been doing Design Unfiltered. This is just a time for people to come on board, play with their different backgrounds, figure out where they want to be.
My chateau was missing.
Yes. What? You don't have a grand piano in your apartment?
No, I don't.
In New York City? Facade broken.
Yeah, yeah, so we'll just kind of welcome people in as they come on board. And so while people are getting settled, our beloved live stream audience,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us where you're calling in from? We get some pretty far-flung destinations. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Where you calling in from? I love it. I love it. We're in New York City, all of us, all 4 of us. Sometimes our guests are from outside the city, but this time, all New York City today. Or for the most part, I'm just outside the city, an hour north, up on the river. Joanne, you split your time a little bit between Brooklyn and outside the city as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm up in Chester a lot of the time these days. So yeah.
Yep. Upper East Side for you, Erica, right?
Upper East Side.
Oh, thank you for waking up early-ish from California.
Yeah, California, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right
We've
on.
had people
New
in
York,
like Australia
Brooklyn.
before, which is crazy for the time.
I know. And Bora, you're in Allen City, right? LIC.
Yes, today I'm in a nondescript office in Flatiron, but my home is in Long Island City in Queens.
Yeah.
I love that. I used to live in Greenpoint before I moved out here, and so it was just over there. And yeah, Hunters Point was kind of my nearest little, just over the bridge. And it's a beautiful spot. I lived by the ferry in Greenpoint, but my ferry stop didn't work. They were still building the jetty or whatever. So I would run or ride up to the ferry at Hunters Point there, and I'd be like, "Damn, this is Long Island City. All right, this is pretty cool. Volleyball court here on the, the beachside in Long Island City. All right."
I'm exactly there, and my desk when I work from home faces. So I forget to look outside and see the river because I'm so in Figma all day. So sometimes I turn around and I'm like, wait, there's the ferry. There are people playing volleyball there.
Oh my God. Do you guys ever take the ferry into work? Like, did you guys go to the city from the ferry?
No, not for work, but for leisure. It's a lovely trip. If during the summer, it's a great trip. You can take from 34th Street all the way to Wall Street, and it makes stops. You can have a drink on top of the boat. It's really lovely. So if anyone hasn't done that, I recommend it, especially if people are visiting to New York. It's a great tourist activity.
Yeah. It's really to see the city from like the water and look up at it and look at the buildings. I think, especially as like a non-New Yorker, is like, I'm not from here. I'm not even from this side of the planet. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty rad way to do it. Highly recommend.
And if you're a hardened New Yorker, it's also great too, because you're like, oh my God, I live here. It's like that where I'm like, oh my God, I live here.
Every time I take the ferry, which is like 3 times in 12 years, I am so amazed. And I'm like, I need to take the ferry more. So we'll do that.
So we got some New Yorkers. We got Vicente.
Yeah.
Vicente's going to take the ferry now.
Yeah.
Let's all meet up.
Madison.
Let's meet up on the ferry.
Get on there. Yeah. Yep. California. Love it.
Nice.
Michael
LA.
What's up, Tinseltown? What? Christy, Brooklynite. Hi, Christy. Nice to see you again. Christy was at our Design Unfiltered live event, which we had in.
Rad.
last month. So we met her there. And Bora, you were there too. It was so great to see you.
Right. Yeah.
That was
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
You're like our most faithful, like call-in
Yeah.
listener. We love you. You are
Ryan's here weekly. We love it.
Amazing.
Captain Consistent. Thank you, Ryan.
I know, you
Much
rock.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, Bora, do you want to kick us off with a question?
Yes. I kind of do this question as an icebreaker with my team, but kind of want to understand how everyone is feeling right now from 1 to 10, and you can say 7.
Oh, no sevens? Oh, I feel like I live at 7.
No decimals. I know a lot of designers that do decimals.
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
So in general, like, how are you feeling about like just
Like, yeah, how did
general.
you show up today here? What's your energy level like?
Yeah. Shit, 7 is
7 is
Bora.
That's why.
Come on.
That's the reason.
our hands are tied? Our hands are tied.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 8.
8.
Ooh.
Oh, good for you.
Solid.
Right on.
Yeah.
I feel good about that.
That
I'm
sounds
I'm gonna have to go with 6 then, because
Mm.
I don't think I'm at an 8, and I can't say bloody 7. So
I mean, in December I was at a 3. So.
oh wait, sorry. Scale again. 1 is not good. 10 is good. That was what you said.
Yeah, 10 is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
10 is out of the park.
Yes.
Yeah.
No
Oh, right.
decimals. And, yeah,
No decimals, Ryan.
So, Erica's what's going so well that you're an 8? What's happening?
This week I've taken back control of my business.
I love that.
Nice.
And so
Good on you.
I felt a bit out of it. Obviously, yesterday was tax day. That was so much fun. But I think taking back control has really helped with my mindset.
Yeah, great.
So,
great.
yeah.
Nice.
I love to hear that.
I would say I'm probably an 8 as well.
Woo.
Just had a good week, like landed a new client today, which is really exciting. Actually, a new client that came back to us after many years. And I just finished putting up a wall mural in this is just kind of a temporary space with a little cat tree in the back. But I have this amazing, like kind of cool, like psychedelic neon botanical mural that me and my boyfriend just finished putting up yesterday. And it's awesome. And he did a really nice job. He was the main chef. I was the sous chef.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Supporting.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Supporting
Yeah.
cast.
Yeah. I got
Alright.
the brush filled with glue. He's up on the ladder. He can't get it himself. You just gotta give him a little.
Hey.
Give him a little
Apprentice needs to hand it up. Yeah.
How about you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, please go on. Bora. Yeah.
I would say 7, but I'm going to follow my own rules. I woke up as a 6, but you know what? I decided I wanted to work out. I work out a lot, so I have to work out before I start work. It sort of sets my day. I could not wake up this morning, so I didn't do it. But I decided to forgive myself and said, you know what? It's okay. I can work out tomorrow. And somehow my day transformed, I'll say, into an 8. I made a goal for tomorrow, so I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm obviously very excited to be here and very grateful for this opportunity.
I love to
so
hear
happy
that.
To have you.
I think I fall into a similar category of the morning workout and not just exercise and for my own health, but it is definitely it helps me get going a bit and helps me try to be hopeful, overcoming something at the start of the day, or just I really try to do it. And on the days I don't, it's tricky, isn't it? You sort of go, I don't know. Yeah.
But it's okay. Everybody needs a rest as well, Bora. So
of course, yeah.
Sleep is also good.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and I'd love to formally introduce you to the group, so everybody knows how fabulous you are. And as always, our format is we have this wonderful guest, Bora, with us today. So this is your great opportunity, everyone, to ask her questions. You can ask all of us questions as they come up. So we're going to do a little bit of just Q&A with her at the beginning, and then probably, at 30 minutes past the hour, we'll probably switch it over to some questions. We might take questions as kind of, it's cash here. questions as they come along. But this is definitely meant to be interactive. So please interact with each other, network with each other, ask us questions. This is a time for all of us to be connected and visible if you so choose. So Bora, I have known Bora for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I didn't
That's awesome.
It was until I looked at LinkedIn. Because we met when Saks Fifth Avenue was our client, and Bora was the UX manager at the time. So she was designer to UX manager. So she was just killing it there. And she was working with Steven Spiropoulos as the VP of design, who I think will probably be tuning in at some point, maybe replay. So,
Hi, Steven.
Hi, Steven.
And then from Saks Fifth Avenue, she went on to become the head of UX at the Met. So, huge.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Wow.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, well, sure. And then she moved on to Mail Chimp. I think right around the time that Intuit was acquiring them, right?
Right, just 6 months before. So I joined as Mail Chimp, and then we got acquired 6 months in.
Okay, so you went through a whole kind of
acquisition period. Yeah, it was super a great learning experience.
Yeah. Great. So you started as a director of product design there, working both within the product partnerships area and core experiences area. And then you got promoted to senior director of product design growth. And at its height, you were overseeing a multi-level team of over 65 designers, lots and lots of people. And you were leading the creation of products affecting millions of users. So the scope and impact that you had there was just super, super huge and very impressive. And now you scored a plum job as the VP of product design at Gorgias. Fitting for you. It's a conversation.
You have to say it like that every time. Gorgeous.
Absolutely. It's a conversational AI platform who is super lucky to have you. So welcome to the show.
To be here. Thank you. I'm very grateful to be here.
Yay. Awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, so you just scored this role at you want to tell us a little bit about Gorgias itself, and then maybe your path to your kind of your interview process and what this has been like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined 5 weeks ago. It's so I'm still fresh in the role. I'm really enjoying it. It's a really wonderful organization that moves really fast, is really focused. They're customer obsessed. So they're really focused on driving value for their customers. It's a conversational AI platform for customer support. And we really have recently launched AI agents for sale. So really driving, if you go to any shopping website, most likely it's Gorgias. That's what I like to say, but it could be another competitor. But the interaction tool that you get when you have a question that you need answered by chat or FAQs or help, it's usually our platform, and it connects with Shopify. So a lot of small businesses and mid-sized businesses and enterprise clients use Gorgias for their customer support solution, as well as creating a more consistent end-to-end journey on how they support customers in their shopping journey. And what I really like about this role is that it has two core customer experiences. One is the shopper experience, right? So we're all shoppers. We all use the internet and buy things constantly. It's practice that we do daily. So improving that and making sure, how do we help merchants that use Shopify stores, which they can go from very small to very large, have a better customer support experience? And then how do we help CX teams to accelerate and optimize their processes in terms of how they answer questions thoughtfully, how they remove frictions for things that don't ship, and then how do we actually improve them to drive more sales, especially in this macroeconomic environment. It's really critical for businesses to survive when they have the right answers for their customers at the right time. And as as I decided to leave Mail Chimp 6 months ago to take a break, I did so much good work there. So proud of my work, but so proud of the people that I worked with such really incredibly talented and smart people. I was I wanted a role. I was thinking about what I wanted to do next and really thinking about what is important to me and what will make me happy and productive and feel like I'm contributing to something that I believe in. So I really wanted to focus on that small business space. I love SaaS because I think that small businesses are the foundation of our society, right? 50% of businesses in the US or actually, I apologize, 90% of businesses in the US are small.
Oh,
So
wow. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
That's it. And
huge.
50% of them make it after 5 years. So it is very, very hard to run a small business. And helping those small businesses survive and thrive, for me, is a value that I feel like I'm contributing to good. And making that easier and better for them, making them successful, is something that I believe in, and I wanted to stay in this space. Now, obviously, realistically, in the job market, it's not. It's currently competitive, and I never said no to an opportunity, so I always took the call. But I really wanted that to be my focus. So I was very intentional in how I was looking, what I was looking for. Did something align with this value system? And even taking the conversation, understanding of like what the priorities for an organization were, how design could have impact there, and took it it's a great question, Michael. Small business is under technically 500 employees. So you're considered by the US, the labor department, but still small considering there are companies with 50, et cetera, 50,000. So, it was a long journey for me to decide like what is the right organization for me to join. I know that I wanted to own a team end to end, as I had practiced a lot at Mail Chimp, and I wanted to have impact. And then I wanted an organization that really was committed to changing fast and learning fast. So really driving outcomes, believed in customers being the focus of why they were doing what they were doing. And I led with that. And, I took a lot of calls, I interviewed in a lot of places, but it was a process of me filtering through, what did I learn? What is this the right role for me? And ultimately this worked out. So I'm very excited to be here.
Love to hear that. It's, do you think that, I just had a quick question off the back of that, like with you being intentional about what you wanted to go and do, and you sort of had your sights set, I imagine with some of the work at Mail Chimp, obviously it does cater to that small business owner still as well, right? So you had experience in that field, in that area, but I think that's one thing that when someone sets their sights on what they want to go and do, especially as a designer, it's also that exercise of like, well, I know what I want to go and do, but will those companies recognize that what I've done before is going to be helpful for them? In your case, I think joining that dot was a bit easier, right? Because Mail Chimp to what you're doing now. But did you find there was some exercise of like, okay, I know what I want to do. I need to make sure that what I've done really speaks to what I want to do, so I can highlight those pieces of my experience to give those companies confidence I'm the person for them as well. Is there an exercise of that about sort of reflecting back on what you've done too and how to package that up in some way?
Absolutely. I looked a lot at I connected with other design leaders and how they were, what their search was like. I also looked at understanding, like when you look at job postings or how companies frame their search, I really tailored my portfolio in many different ways for the audience that I was presenting in, right? So I also interviewed at consumer spaces and was able to tailor impact along with the industry that's in. So I think for a lot of designers, especially if you're a more junior designer, you're not necessarily required to be from the industry. I mean, obviously it's a nice to have, but what matters the most is impact. So how were you able to drive impact in your past experiences? And a lot of the times, being very honest, design has a hard time for this, right? Because designers have really good ideas that don't get adopted by the business. But the goal is to really show your thinking and how you think when you build a hypothesis or a case study, how you include data and customers' goals to your solutions. So it might not necessarily be small business aligned, but I can see a designer or a design leader coming from the consumer space who has really solid thinking on how to tailor design solutions based on customer feedback and data, and how much impact that had or could have on the audiences. So it's more about problem framing with quality, and an ideal space you're really leaning in on having impact on the business that you are in.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Really, yeah, and that could translate to any industry, right? So it's like
exactly.
It just so happened that Gorgias is there too. What I really think is so inspiring about your story, your recent job search story, is that you were so clear that you really wanted to be at a company that really understood AI. Because you're like, I want to be on the cutting edge of AI. Like the AI is the cutting edge of technology. I want to be a part of that. Maybe you can walk us through a little bit about like, where did you feel like you were starting from a place of AI knowledge when you started your job search? And then to kind of get from that place to then landing at a place that's like like it's an AI company. Like, did you educate yourself along the way, or how did you get that job when you're swinging for the fences? I want to get an AI. Like, how did you do that?
Yeah. When I was at Mail Chimp, my team and I worked on sort of envisioning what Gen AI products for small businesses could look like. And being transparent and honest, it was a thought provocation that we shared with a larger organization, but it was informed on design best practices versus actual knowledge. It was an exercise, and I used that as a catalyst. It helped me understand. I said, I need to learn as much as possible on how this technology works, use it myself on a day-to-day basis, and then truly treat it as I'm taking a college course. Like, what are the things that I need to do, and how do I learn as much as possible? So I signed up for every AI newsletter out there. So Rundown, Neuron, TLDR, I can share all of them, but I read those on a daily basis, and they're super informative because a lot of the AI products most likely are junk, but you're understanding where the industry is going. So it helped me understand where the industry is going, trying the tools to understand how they're being built. And then I could apply all of these into like the design solutions that I am thinking about as a design leader, and how I scale teams in terms of the ingredients that the teams need to be successful. But again, my most important criteria is practicing the tools every day and reading all information. I also read a lot of business-driven technology newsletters, like The Information, because I want to see where the industry is going and really understanding how that impacts smaller organizations and how organizations make decisions. Now, if you're a leader, it's a different, you have a different outcome. And if you're a designer, you have a different outcome. As a leader, you want to understand the business, and you want to understand how you can make decisions that where design can lead the way. As a designer, you want to be a master of the craft and the tool using AI tools. So for me, to do obviously both. But I focus more on the business sense, and I want to have enough knowledge that I can give feedback to a designer or a design manager in terms of how they can improve it. But I think for a designer, it is critical to learn all of the tools and be a master, even if you're working or not working, just creating projects to become really familiar and probably an expert on how the tools work and what best practices are.
Cool. Are there some simple exercises where people could get started if they're like, hey, I know I need to know this. I'm not really sure even what to do or what to use. Like, are there some simple things people can do?
Google offers a lot of prompt, how to design a good prompt. They have classes. I would recommend those.
I need that.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It's hard to get started. And now that we're building a conversational AI platform here at Gorgias, one of the highest barriers on getting started is defining a solid prompt. So practicing prompting. Also, Rundown University has a lot of classes that you can take. I think it has a fee, but they're really good AI classes on how to learn about prompting, learning the technology, practicing some of the softwares. But I would just go in there. There is no wrong answer. So practice make perfect. But if I had to prioritize one of the things, prompting is probably the most important.
Great. Awesome.
Interesting.
Maybe we could get a list of those things from you at some point, like your top recommendations, and post it with the replay. That would be awesome.
Yep, I can do that.
Great. And Chris Novak is chiming in too. Hey, Chris. You're saying if anybody's looking for a design-focused AI newsletter, subscribe to The Strange Review from Strange Ventures. You know that one, Bora?
Shut up.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Tara Gets Tan the tick of approval.
Great. Tara Tan is a designer and CEO of FBC, and her weekly newsletter cuts out a bunch of noise and focuses things, especially for designers. Awesome. Thank you.
That's super handy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think I wonder at this point, like as you were talking through some of that, Bora, it's like AI and the AI tooling for a designer is just going to become, or it seems like, just a commonplace or a normal part of your toolkit as a designer. It'd be like, 10 years ago designing in Photoshop, maybe you're just getting into Sketch and Figma comes along, Sketch, shout out Sketch. Figma comes along and you just don't do it. You go, oh, whatever, this is a flash in the pan. Who knows? It's like, no, I mean, there's as a designer that uses tools in your daily practice, like exploring new tools and new ways of doing things and newer paradigms, I think should just be part of that practice anyway. So as these AI tools come in, it's like thinking of them as like, oh, I'm not trying to replace myself or something. These are just parts of my toolkit and part of my practice. It made sense to learn Figma back then. Probably makes sense to learn some of these other tools now too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also that we are all users of these tools, right? Like I'm sure everyone goes on ChatGPT and writes a card for someone on their birthday, or they're becoming design principles on how most people engage with digital products. So if we claim ourselves to be the creators of these experiences, we should really think about that as a way for us to become better designers. I certainly consider myself that way. So if I'm building digital experiences that most people use, I want to become familiar so that the things that I build actually mirror the tools that most people are using.
Okay.
And you say that you learned a lot about kind of where the industry is headed with AI, just from all this research that you've done. Is there any sort of sneak peeks you can give us around the things that you thought were really interesting that you read, or maybe something that was really surprising, or anything that you came across in your studies that you think would be cool to share?
I think one of the things that, and as I'm talking to my team here, I think a lot of the way that we approach designing products is often very utilitarian, right? You do something and then we expect the user or the customer to validate what the thing that we're trying for them to do. And where I think the paradigm shift that needs to happen with introduction of technologies such AI or conversational AI is that things need to be predictive. So how can you predict what a user using a platform, be it SaaS, be it customer facing, needs to actually, what are they expecting and how can you predict that outcome? So it's also about really understanding intent and predicting that intent in terms of design patterns. It's really important in doing that paradigm shift. As we design, we're thinking of information architecture in a linear way. So there's hierarchy from top to bottom, but a lot of the times conversational AI removes that hierarchy. So you're starting from the outcome is the intent. So for example, if I am even looking through a conversational platform, it could be a software tool. How can I predict what they're looking for and how can I actually engage with in a way that helps customers solve their problems in a fast way?
Interesting.
I love
Okay.
that. Erica,
think?
I'm sure you like loving this tools conversation.
Yeah,
Erica, I feel like
Yeah.
users are like, what tools is everybody using?
I mean,
always.
I'm always thinking about it. I mean, I feel like most people we've just scratched like the surface. Like there's so much more depth out there that like I'm always interested in like different use cases, like what people are doing, whether it's at work or not at work, just outside of everything. But we don't have to talk about, we could talk about it now, but I usually save that for the end. But I guess, yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of absorbing it all.
I have a two-part question that
Yeah.
maybe you might like to know as well. There, Erica, is like, one, what is your team, or what are you and the team kind of using AI tool-wise in your practice as designers? Whether it's prompts to fill in, placeholder text, through to we're vibe coding prototypes so we can test better, or like, what AI tooling is the team using? And then second part is, when you hire designers, as a design leader, and you're hiring designers for your team and building your team, do you look for designers that are using these newer tools, embracing these tools, that have some evidence that AI tooling is part of their process and methodology, and how does that show up? So hopefully that's not too much.
Are you allowed to share what you guys are using?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think, yes, I could. I don't.
Okay.
I think so I think Figma still exists in terms of design, but we're really looking at enhancing the experience to make designers move faster and more impact.
Yep.
A lot of design is granular, right? You're sort of moving components in Figma. You're creating layouts that might not necessarily need to be recreated. So driving through using tools like Replit and Lovable to prototype quickly, that's number one. And then using GPTs for voice and tone and creating content. We don't have a lot of image creation because it's a tool, but really using GPTs to create content. So twofold. One, you want to prototype so you can get feedback as fast as possible, as well as, so for Replit and Lovable, and then using custom GPTs on ChatGPT to have a voice and tone GPT, so that one is the voice and tone for what copy you're writing and generating copy. Those are just the first two ingredients. The other one long-term is hopefully creating product PRDs or design briefs that can be automatically generated through ChatGPT. Once they allow, I know that they're launching organizational data to be included in it, so that as a designer, you can create a hypothesis really fast and be able to design and test really quickly. The goal of these AI tools is to accelerate you. There's so much manual labor when you're creating a prototype, you're sharing it out. So the hope is that you have all of these tools, you can create a hypothesis really fast, and you can validate it with speed. Most likely you're wrong. So what did you learn, and how do you move forward in your next step?
Yeah. I love that. That's super helpful. That's really great.
And I think what the prototyping tools like Lovable do really well is interaction and motion. So many static prototypes, when you get with customers and you try to validate it, a lot of teams get flat feedback because it doesn't feel like the real product. Using these AI-driven tooling can really empower designers to have a more organic experience to the real product, so that you can get more meaningful feedback from their users and customers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are these tools free? Do you have to subscribe to them? Are they, enterprise only type tools for businesses?
They have levels. So obviously everything, if you're in an organization and they're using an LLM, either they're the one that they built or probably subscribe, that's different. But obviously ChatGPT has a free version. All of the prototyping tools have a free version to try, and then they go up in price if you're an individual contributor, like trying it by yourself, or if you're part of an organization.
Okay. And so like going to Jared's second question about like hiring, looking for people who have some AI experience, or maybe they don't, but they are sort of playing around with these tools, how open are you to someone who maybe doesn't necessarily have like strong AI, but really great critical thinking skills or other sort of soft skills in your hiring process?
Yeah, I think it's about curiosity. So if someone is curious about the tools and they're playing with them, like it's okay. Not experience in AI it's relatively very new. So it's
still novel. Yeah.
And there are, I'm sure, a cohort of designers that are experts who are leading the way, but most designers are still in the learning phase. So it's important to show your curiosity. So if you're curious and you're playing with the tools and building with the tools, I think that's what matters. Critical thinking and craft are still obviously the most important ingredients of what designers responsibilities are, but the tools just enhance those capabilities and make your impact larger and make your work faster.
Yeah. I'm almost expecting, I feel like I'm starting to see a bit of it now, but a lot of designers are great at maybe talking about some of the tooling that they work with. You jump into a case study, you kind of see what the problem was they were solving, maybe they'll mention some of their process. And now I'm almost expecting to see like, used Replit to prototype first versions. We tested with interactive, animations, use ChatGPT to load our content, to test with better, so I'm almost expecting to see hints of this, and therefore maybe these earlier stage prototypes and concepts are going to be at an even higher fidelity, and we're not going to see the real low fidelity stuff because it's kind of just getting skipped now.
Exactly.
Which is
and
fun.
I'm sure
Exciting.
If you're a designer, having your portfolio should be really a reflection of the tools you're adopting, like using something like Framer, which now I saw as it's building sites or Webflow where they're more robust in terms of the high fidelity of your execution. One, it helps you learn the tool, but also your portfolio has a better view, and it teaches you about the technology while you build a really good portfolio.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's to me, it's a case study in itself. Your portfolio. It's not just the work; it's all the bones around it. That's got to be, one without the other. It's got to be both, really, at all times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to ask a follow-up question to that too, but I also just want to pause for a second and say to our attendees, so everybody who's here on the live stream, please put some questions in the chat. Anything you have on your mind, we'd love to hear from you. Bora can answer them in real time. So don't be shy. Step right up. Put your questions in the chat. What do you look for, Bora? Like when somebody is applying to you in any of your jobs, it could be, Gorgias as well, but what do you look for in portfolios specifically? Like, what are some things where you're like, oh, this is a red flag, this isn't good? Or there are things that you're specifically kind of looking for, like aside from the things we just talked about in terms of critical thinking, and are they using new technology to make some designs? But what other things do you look for?
I mean, so one, obviously, firstly, what the organization needs, right? So if I exist in an organization, I need to understand the type of talent that I need in that space to help the organization be successful. Generally, though, as a principal, I think I look for full stack designers. So really owning the end-to-end experience and being able to have all the skills. Now, you can be talented in one area and have strength in one area, but you support the other areas and understand. So for example, someone can be very talented in UI but has good UX skills and understands content design. But generally, full stack, I think, is when you're a full stack designer, you can play really well in a team and drive a lot of the product thinking forward. One of the things in looking at portfolios, oftentimes like craft is important because as we're designers, we need to deliver craft, but also depth. So really truly understanding how your design solutions had impact and how are you able to quantify that impact. Really thinking through, if you have a hypothesis, it's based on data, and if you're able to prove out that data. And by proving out, I don't mean successful. I think failure is a learning. So I think really showing that you understand that what you're doing is testing and understanding that you have impact and you're learning from that impact. And then the other thing, which I think is really important and I'd love to see from designers, is doing a dual path of having a vision for what something could be and being able to break down that vision into smaller chunks that you deliver with your team. Design has the unique ability to envision the future. That future is not what we actually deliver, but it helps. It's a catalyst on getting teams aligned with what they can deliver. So really thinking through a big vision of like, what can the future of X product look like? And which small part of that can I try with my team today to validate if it's true or not? It always has to be dual track. Even with my team here, we talk a lot about what is the vision for this product and what we can deliver today. And I think it's such a critical ingredient in terms of bringing value as a candidate, as a designer in a team. And a lot of the times designers get boggled down by the day-to-day. There's meetings, there's stand-ups, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not thinking also at the high level. Organizations need that high level to drive value, especially to customers. And since designers are the translators of customer problems, you have the unique ability to actually envision what that looks like.
I love that. It's really designed like being so empowered. I love that empowering stance on it, where it's like you are like the torch bearer, like you are the Statue of Liberty with this like
you have agency towards that and you own it. Now, obviously it requires you creating space to think and strategize and rallying and advocating. Those are different ingredients, but the first step is to actually own it and think about what that vision could look like.
I love that. I love that. Looks like we do have some questions from the group.
Questions.
Let's see.
Some good technical questions too. I love it.
Yeah. Michael Weiss writes, how are you all dealing with the fact that literally thousands of people are applying to roles within days of it being posted or released? Or are you not posting and relying on your networks?
It's a bit of both from what I see on my side. Some things don't get advertised, don't get posted, and maybe they get filled. Other things do get posted. I think no matter the applicants, 3 applicants, 30 applicants, 1,000, like noise is noise, and everyone's got to find a way to cut through. I think it is harder to cut through more volume, but it is still possible to cut through noise. I don't think there's a silver bullet, but yeah, noise is noise. Products deal with the same thing. Gorgias is probably, we're using StreamYard as a platform. How did we end up there? There's other platforms. Somehow StreamYard cut through the noise, and right, like I just think that is a principle in itself, like being the person for the thing and cutting through the noise.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I think that question has like a really cool thing baked into it, which is, are you relying on your networks? I mean, I think it's great to have a two-pronged strategy to apply. Applying on LinkedIn, it is like playing the lottery, right? Like there's a lot of people that are applying. Sometimes your resume is not going to get to the right person. But I think I think the most important piece is just like finding out, who do you know at these companies, or who do you know who knows those people that can give you a warm intro, right? And dropping names, being shameless about it, I think that's a really winning strategy, because if you're just a person on a piece of paper and you have no connection to somebody, it's a whole lot harder to get that conversation started than somebody vouching for you, or even saying, if you're on LinkedIn and you're like, hey, I see that we're connected. We're both connected to so-and-so. You're not even getting like a warm introduction from the person, although that would be awesome. But, maybe to save time, if you're doing this for a lot of applications, maybe it's just like, hey, like we know so-and-so in common. If that person knows so-and-so pretty well, you know so-and-so pretty well, that's a really nice kind of entree into having a conversation. So
I agree. Yeah, I stole this from Joanne, but I used it and I think I was very successful. If you see a job that you like and you can figure out who the hiring manager is and sending them not a personalized note, because sometimes I find LinkedIn is overwhelming with like the fake personalization, but truly what you mean. I just went and did that. So if there was a role and I could sort of guess who the hiring manager was, I sent a note to the hiring manager when I was looking and said, would love to chat either for this role or something. And a bunch of them worked out, a bunch of them didn't, and that's okay. But it was a better tactic than just cold applying to a place. And for us others, I just connected through some peers that knew someone. So I think the networking one definitely adds a layer that can be helpful.
Word. Let's see. Gonna take our next question. Erica?
Yeah, I saw. Oh, I'll grab this one. I thought it was interesting because it was a little bit more on the technical side. I have a question about where tools like Replit and Lovable fall in the prototyping process. Do you tend to use them to prototype for basic structure, or have you had success prototyping designs that actually maintain the branding and visuals consistently? So I'm not sure how you're using some of your tooling at the moment there.
So we are currently using them for 0 to 1 products. So if we're thinking about creating a new product that doesn't necessarily have all of the branding, just because the team is getting ramped up, but we want feedback from customers on how this works. Does this solve their problems? The long-term goal, though, is to actually maintain the branding and consistently, because it will scale so much faster. It's much faster. Figma is still the design tool, but it's so much faster to have a prototype that has more meaning in something like Lovable. And we're going to scale towards that as we build the design system.
Helpful.
Amidst all these technical questions, I know that I think design is having kind of a self-reflective moment around like where is the place for design when these AI tools become more and more robust. They're able to crank out designs that maybe would have taken designers weeks to do prior. Do you have a sense of where you think design as a discipline is headed? If like, is craft always going to be a thing no matter how sophisticated these AI tools get? Or what's your take on that?
I mean, selfishly, yes, for me, craft is always going to be but I think I'm aging myself. I think designers are problem solvers, right? So if you're able to understand data, both quant and qual, and build a hypothesis and envision the possibility on how to solve that, that is a designer that's not replaceable. The tools only help you make better hypotheses and solutions. There's a lot of bad hypotheses out there, but if you can really understand data and really be able to look at quant data and see patterns, fully understand your users and their intent, and build a hypothesis that brings value to your customers, is really where you'll be successful. Regardless, though, of any role, I think design will always be the owner of leading with a clear vision. No one understands the vision setting like designers do, but being able to sell that vision with data and outcomes is where the next step of a designer's life cycle will be. So if you're able to do that and adopt that type of thinking to show impact to an organization, to customers, that regardless of AI tools existing, designers still own that outcome and are able to help a business be successful and help customers use products or consumer-facing websites.
So it sounds like it'd be really smart for people to start leaning into those skills now to kind of prepare for the future as the future changes.
Exactly. I always say, and this was one of my great learnings when I was at Mail Chimp and Intuit, but really leading with a clear vision. What it means is that you understand deeply who your customers are and what their problems are. That's the number one ingredient. If you understand that, then you're able to rally a team around it. You can think of solutions. So first, always start with a problem so that that problem becomes a solution that you can rally against.
I love that.
which a lot of that feels like it's reflected in what you described about what you look for in designers in your team.
Exactly.
That thinking, that process, that problem solving.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's all super critical skills that you obviously see as the way forward. Irreplaceable skills. Yep.
Yeah. I also wanted to talk about your recent job search process, because we had a little powwow, little pregame with you on Monday. And I really like something that you said, where you said, because I think there's so much angst. There's a lot of angst with designers out there. There's these interview processes are taking a long time. They're getting ghosted. I think there's just a lot of like fear. But I really loved what you said about the mindset that you really kept so strong through that whole process, because it was, a long process for you, for everyone. But that you were interviewing the company as much as they were interviewing you. So kind of to take that power back and to take that kind of you're in the driver's seat sort of feeling and perspective. Can you tell us a little bit about that and just maybe some other strategies that you used in your job search to just keep your sanity and to just have a good outcome?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was finding a job is not easy. It's stressful. It's, it has a lot, like it gives a lot of anxiety. It's unsure. The market, LinkedIn is very loud. But at the beginning of my job search, I wrote down all the things that I wanted and I posted that on my fridge. And I was like, this is what I'm looking for. And I had high days and low days, but once I started interviewing, I started to understand that there are things that I'm looking for and I need to stay focused on what I need. I hate making this analogy, but I'll make it anyway. It's kind of like dating. You want to have the energy with someone that you share that same energy and you share the same goals. You don't want to go to an organization where you are not meshing, especially with your hiring manager, right? That's your direct person that will advocate for you. That's your sponsor. You want someone that's able to sponsor you and make you successful in your growth. So a lot of the times it's really helpful at any level, interviewing at the leadership position or at a designer position, understanding what your leader's goals are so you can help deliver them. One of the questions that I really like to ask is, what are you excited about and what keeps you up at night? Because it helps you understand a leader's state of mind and what they're looking for. And it could be that that's like they're looking for something very technical and you find out right away that it's not your thing. And you get to sort of align on values at that point, right? It helps you it helps you take the power back, but also understand, is this something that I need? And doing a lot of calls is obviously exhausting. I watched a lot of tennis. That's my pastime.
Love that.
Me too.
But I also I journaled a lot. One of my peers, when I was at Mail Chimp, shared this HBR article with me on the importance of leaders reflecting at the end of the day on what went well and what didn't, so you can understand how you can improve. I do this at my job, but even when I was job searching, I sort of started noting down. I have a notebook right here.
Oh, hey, a notebook.
I use the front for notes, and then the back, I write lessons. So I sort of flip back and forth, so I have everything in one place. And I write lessons every day. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be deep, but what worked and what didn't, so that you can, one, get it out of your head, but it also helps you reflect and have perspective.
And iterate, yeah.
I love that, because I feel like so many of our days are just so reactive, or it can be if you don't have that kind of planning ahead of time. But to have to keep that in the forefront of your mind of like, oh, I could do that differently, or I could do that better, or whatever it is the next time, just to keep that right here.
Especially during interviewing, it gives you a time to reflect. And, if you don't get a role, or even if you get a role, it's a moment to reflect regardless. Is this the right role for me? Why didn't it work out? You can sort of have perspective.
Yeah. And I like the dating analogy too, because if you if you meet somebody, it's like, it's a blind date, you're at a bar, you're kind of sniffing each other out. If it's just like the person just like incessantly talks your ear off or whatever it is, you're kind of like, this isn't going to work. Everybody's on their best behavior in date number one, especially, right? It's like if the interview process is not going well, that's kind of the best you're going to get from them most of the time, right? So it's like, it's not working in like early rounds or even the whole rounds, even the whole slate. Like, maybe not.
I do always remind people that that's like the hardest thing to find too, like a really great fit with your personality, with people, with culture, the product itself, hopefully too. And then, somewhere under that, the logistics, do come. What's the salary package? What's the in-work policy, in office policy, whatever it might be. And it's like those things can kind of be negotiated to an extent. But finding that fit, that's that. You can't really negotiate. So when you find it, you've got to sort of remember that and go, okay, I remember the importance of this. These other factors might not quite line up, but maybe I can get them closer. I can bridge some gaps because this is worth it. So yeah, when you find that fit, you've got to remember the importance of that. It's not easy.
You kind of know in your gut of like if it's or not. So I think you should listen to it and with intuition, understand of like what's important to you. I had some offers. I had lots of rejections. All of that helped me understand what was important to me. And it really just helped me grow as a person and helped me have a clear understanding of what I was looking for. So I used those as information in terms of learning how I was growing as a leader and what was important to me.
I love that you can take that in such a positive way and in a non-personal way too. There was a wonderful guy who recently didn't get a role at one of my clients just because he was slightly at the wrong level, but everything else was great. There was just somebody else that came in at the right level that was the right spot. And when I told him that he didn't get the job, and this happens all the time in our line of business, right? It's like you tell somebody they didn't get the job and they're just crushed. And I just want to, I do oftentimes, but I just want to like hold that person and just say,
you're still worth it. You're still worth something.
Exactly. But like so many of these rejections are not about your value as a person, or are you a designer, or do people like you? It's like at the end of the day, it's like, are you the right specific fit for this specific job?
That's
and if
all
it's
it
not
is.
the right fit, then it's not the right fit for you either, right? And maybe and now that you've met this company, maybe something else opens up in the future. Like you'll already have been in touch with them. You have a good sense of each other. Like maybe you can keep the door open, like keep in touch with them. Keep in touch with that company, right? Yeah, exactly. Like you never know what's going to open up in the future. And I think the people that consistently, maybe every 6 months or, just, in a non, super aggressive way, but just kind of light touches like, hey, I'm still here. How are things going? I saw that your business did X, Y, and Z, number of dollars of revenue. Congratulations. Or just keeping those things intact, I think are important because it's not about them not liking you. So much of the time.
No, 90% of the time is what the organization needs at that moment in time. And if you're able to check off the criteria. So it's never ever personal.
Yeah. Word. Well, we're at time. We have a minute left. Any thoughts you want to share with us, Bora, before you go? It's been so awesome having you here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. I love what I do. I believe in design of driving the future. If you want to connect on that, if you want tips, I am very welcome. I love mentoring, especially design leaders. I think design leaders are in a tough spot as organizations scale. So I think we have a really big opportunity to prove our value and really help organizations envision the future, have impact, because that's what everyone is looking for. So I'm here. My LinkedIn DMs are open if you want to chat.
How generous. Wow.
I would love to circle around on this in say 6 months time, 9 months time, and because it is early days for you there, but we're going to show this value of design at gorgeous, and take them on that journey and set that vision, and it will be cool to see you. We're getting the ground floor kind of take on it now. and what you're going to do with it over the next few months and beyond. So very excited for that.
Yeah. Wonderful. And Ryan just asked, are you hiring real quick? Are you
Not at the moment, but hopefully soon.
Soon. And you know what to put in your portfolio if that pops up.
That's right. That's the answer, G, right here. I know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It was so cool to have you. And thanks for everybody who joined us and asked questions. And I hope you got a lot out of it. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.